Hello, everyone. Welcome to our first session of the Verification Online course organized by CRTA and Transitions. Apologies again for having to cancel the original schedule yesterday. Everything is ready now. Aliaume is here in London with me. The other part of London, another part of London. Hope you are all there. As I explained in my messages during the session, you would be able to ask questions through that chat facility on YouTube. If that for some reason doesn't work, just drop me an email. Just drop me an email and I will communicate the question to Aliaume. He will address your questions or any comments towards the end of the session. If not, if there are many of them and we can't deal with all of them within this session, we will come back to you very soon. Okay, I hand over to our trainer today and hope you find it useful.
Thank you very much, Thiro. Hi everyone, or hi again, I must say. My name is Aliaume. I work for the BBC, an investigation unit that's called BBC Africa Eye. I set up an open source investigation unit for them at the moment, and also, and that's also the organization. Well, and the other organization I work with is Bellingcat, which is a group of open source investigators that specialize, obviously, in doing open source investigations and publishing open source investigations. And I'm doing the training on behalf of Bellingcat here at the moment. So this session will be focusing on advanced internet search, especially on Google. So that's going to include Booleans, search operators, Google Advanced Search. We'll be looking at those. And the way the session is going to be divided is, first of all, I'll do, again, like I did in Belgrade, a short introduction into open source investigation, what it is about, what platforms you can go to find tools and techniques, more about the tools and more about the techniques, and also the type of stories you can do when you undertake open source investigations. So that should last for about 15 minutes. I'll keep as short as possible. And then the rest, I'll move into the internet advanced search techniques, and I'll leave about 10 minutes for question. And if there is no question, I'll fill it with another maybe sort of set of tools and techniques or more information about some searches that I can't mention in the other two sessions that will be coming next week. Also, I think, yeah, the session will roughly last for about 40-45 minutes. I think maybe it might run to an hour, but maximum no more than an hour. So yeah, let's get directly into the topic of it. So I'll share my screen for that because it will be mainly a lot of information I'll be presenting. Thiro, can you all see the screen? I think is that fine? I can't hear you, but I'm suspecting it's fine. You can see my screen, right?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. All right, so obviously, open source investigation, the idea is to use all the information available online, and that's pretty much all the information that you will find through your web browser, which could be Google Chrome, Safari, etc. And the idea is to harness open source investigation, or a set of tools and techniques that are going to help you harness the power of data, let's say, online. And it's about following digital breadcrumbs that all over the internet. So that could be on Facebook, on Twitter, etc. All the pieces of information that are published by people. And for those to be able to do that, you have a different set of tools and techniques. And those are combined in, if I go to the Bellingcat Digital, so I'll be talking a lot about this one. I'll be referring to that document quite often, the Bellingcat Digital Toolkit, which I share to you by email, and a short version of all the different tools we can use. I'll just enter in full screen so you can see better. So this is an example of, as I showed during the session, a sort of different type of tools and techniques you can use to do your open source investigation. Some of them, most of them actually are free, hence the open source aspect, and you don't need crazy technical skills to be able to engage with them or to use them. And here we have social sort of tools that enable you to download videos on Facebook, to analyze like people find TOL-scan or Intel techniques. They enable you to find information on Facebook that is still public, but you can't access without those tools. Let's say, for example, if your friends are publishing pictures and tagging you in them, those images might not be visible on your profile. Well, actually, they won't be visible on your profile, but they will be visible on the profile of your friends. And because they are made public on the profile of your friends, there is still a way to access it using Intel techniques and a formula that's built into it. You've got websites and tools that enable you to track ship movements, plane movements here at the bottom, commercial registries as well, which journalists use a lot. But the one we tend to use a lot specifically at Bellingcat is geospatial data and satellite imagery, because that's one thing we do a lot, is to verify the information. And that will be I'm jumping ahead to the final online session we have. We'll be talking about geolocation and how we verify videos and photos using geolocation. But you've got different one. A good recent case actually is, I'm going back to Strava. Strava is, for example, the fitness app that they've released, that sort of you can put on your phone, and when you do sports, you track where you run, what's your heart rate, etc. And recently, I'll move out. There was, I'll show you this article. There have been a lot of articles about Strava, but recently, 5 days ago, actually, this article came out about Polar, which is another app. And here is what you will see. Now they took it down because the people who did the investigation, so it was Bellingcat and the Dutch platform, the correspondents, they went to the company and say, look, a lot of the data you have available is about, as you can see from the article, title soldiers and spies, and that could be dangerous for national security, so please shut down your platform, which they've done. But this is a screenshot of it, and it shows you that people have mapped their run on special military bases, and you could easily, here for example, you've got the run, etc., and you could easily, because people had profile, you could easily get that information for the run on the military base, but you could also get information about the runs or the cycle path they used to do at home, for example, so you could have access to their home address. This is a bit of a scary example, but it shows you all the information that have available out there, and those applications have existed for quite a long time. For example, the Strava, it was discovered a couple of months ago, but the map, the Strava map, had actually been available for more than a year, I think, if I remember correctly. That's the application. And that's, for example, if I were to show you, that's the global heat map. That was providing information. And for example, here it's quite an interesting case here. For example, in the US, so this is all the people running, cycling, etc. In the US now, that might not give you anything, for example, New York. But if you go to Africa, it's interesting because obviously only soldiers, they're military soldiers or people working on refineries, do for sports, do run, etc. So people coming from the west, and so all those spots that you see, those unique spots, are actually either military bases or sort of oil sites or refinery sites, mining sites. This is just a long example to show you, that information is available out there. And when you start, looking into it, searching for it, then you uncover a lot of information that you wouldn't be able to do otherwise. So, and all those tools give you that opportunity. And the type of stories you can do with open source investigation is obviously very varied. So you can go to again, if you go to the website of Bellingcat in that case, you can see obviously a lot of what we do at Bellingcat, we focus on conflict because the conflict in Syria, for example, in Iraq, there are tons and tons of images, videos being published. And there's been a lot of, also with the Russian involvement, there've been a lot of wrong claims or false claims made by Russia in the conflict, and we could verify those using open source investigation. So, for example, we've done a lot of work on conflict, on chemical attacks in Syria, but we also did some corruption cases. If I search corruption, so here, for example, analyzing the use of Scottish limited partnerships in the UK, how that's been able to those Scottish limited partnership have been used by, for example, Russian actors to launder money or organize crime to launder money, and that's been done using open source investigation and information that's available online. There was, I shared this one also, Navalny corruption, where they were looking at Dmitry Peskov and his watch, for example, and how much it cost, but also they were tracking a yacht, the Maltese Falcon, he hired during holidays, and they could, they'd be able to confirm that he was there, or it's highly likely he was there because, for example, in this picture, his daughter was wearing the Maltese Falcon sort of dress robe, as you can see here. So you can do about conflict, you can do about corruption, and you can also do stories about the environment. So Wim, for example, Zwijnenberg, he specialized in looking at oil fields, burning oil fields in Syria and Iraq, for example. And he's been doing using satellite imagery that gives you an idea of when the Islamic State set on fire oil rigs during the war. You could, for example, see here that it's clearly visible from satellite imagery. So stories could come up just by looking at satellite imagery. So you can do conflict, corruption, environmental. It covers quite a broad range as all journalists. It's sort of different topics that journalists already cover. Enough said about the sort of introduction for open source investigation. Yeah, it's been about 10 minutes, 15 minutes. So now I'll move into the first part, which is Internet Advanced Search. And for Internet Advanced Search, we focus mainly on Google because it's the one that's has been indexing a lot of websites. And for Internet Advanced Search, the main one you need to be aware, the first one, which I talk about in Belgrade, obviously, is Google Advanced Search. This one is really good because we tend to do ourselves our research on Google, in this search bar, typing, let's say, Cameroon president, etc., or like typing whatever we are after. But Google Advanced Search gives you more idea because Internet Advanced Search again, and most of the open source investigation, not the verification part, but when I'm going to talk about those in advanced Internet search on Google and advanced Internet search on social media, the idea is really to be specific because in those you need to think like a computer. You want, obviously, you're working with a machine, you're working with a computer, but you're also working with internet, which functions as a machine. It doesn't work like a human being. So you need to be very specific in your research. When you need to know what you're after, pretty much. If you start broad and like dump some different words in Google, it's not going to help you. You might come across what you're after, but it's going to take either a long time or a lot of luck. But on the other hand, if you know what you're looking for and you've been some tip-off or have some clues that you can plug into Google Advanced Search or Facebook Advanced Search, not Facebook Advanced Search, but Facebook Magic Formula, sorry, which we'll be talking about in the next online session. There you can refine your search and make sure you hit the right spot, because otherwise you get lost and you spend a lot of time looking at your screen, getting tired, and that doesn't function. So you really need to be precise with your research. And Google Advanced Search is one, because it can help you find all different words, an exact phrase, any of these words, none of the words. So that's quite useful if you're looking at people who have names, maybe of famous people, for example, or you're looking into a region but don't want certain towns, etc. You can search with a number here. If you know which language you look into, you can directly search it here. It's pretty standard. The region as well might help. You can search by the country, the time, and then if you want to refine your search directly in a domain, you can put here. So if, for example, I was looking for, so we were let's say interested into information about Brexit from the UK website, I can just take the gov.uk, plug it into the site, and then I'll search Brexit. And as you can see, every information that come up is from the website .gov.uk, and in that case, it's about Brexit. But you could, be more specific, or etc., etc. But if you know that you're looking to a website, use Advanced Search, because actually Google Advanced Search searching through a website is actually more efficient than some website search options, which sometimes it's a bit tricky. Sometimes they don't index all of what they have on their website actually, whereas Google has been indexing much more of the website content. Therefore, if you can't find something on a website, doesn't mean it doesn't exist. Maybe that the search pattern or the search option on that website hasn't indexed it. So try the advanced search and the site domain option on the advanced search. And then you can search for specific terms if you want them to appear in the page, in the title, in the text, in the URL, etc. File type is also very useful if you know what you're looking for. And here are the different options. Obviously, PDF is the most common, but it could be PowerPoint, Word, etc. And usage, that's specifically for picture. If you want to use them, that's not so much of interest. But you can create those yourself as well. You don't need to rely on the advanced search, although this is quite useful. But you can have what we call Google Search Operator, which I've sent to you in an email. Here you got some example. If you type Google Search Operators, they easily come in. But the most common one is for example, the quotation mark. If you're looking for a full sentence or a full name, let's say Emmanuel Macron, if I just want to be sure about the order. So everything Emmanuel Macron is always going to come up like this, as you see in the search, because I'm looking for the two words. And I can add anything and play around, and you see that that's what appears. So this one is quite well known, obviously. Another one is I'm interested in Macron and about his wife. So so that's looking for the two terms here. So you can see here it's been looking for Macron and wife in each page I found. But it can also be interesting in, let's say, Paul Biya, which is the president of Cameroon, but also in Kabila, the current president of DRC, input BIA or Kabila, and I should have information either about Kabila, as you can see, or about BIA that comes up. So those are one that are often used. Here, for example, if I want to have another one that's good is if I want just about the son Kabila, who is the current president, but not about his father, I could have Joseph and Kabila, or Joseph Kabila in quotation marks, minus, I don't want information about his father, so I would remove that information to make sure all I get is only the son and information about the son, and not about the father. And again, here you can use file type as well all the time. So let's take one example. Let's look about a document. For example, the French military is involved in the Sahel, and I want to have a document, a PDF document coming from the Ministry of Defense, let's say. So I'm gonna search. Obviously, it's always better when you do searches in other languages. It's oops, wrong one. Sorry, that's foreign affairs. It's always better to search in the language itself. So France is going to be French. It's called Ministère des Armées currently, and the website is www.defense.gouv.fr. So I would take that. I can do it in the advanced search if I want. So here, put defense.gov. So I know I'm looking into military stuff, so I can put militaire, armée, so this is French word for military, army obviously, soldat for soldiers. I can also have Sahel, that's a region where they're involved, and that's any of these words are gonna come up. Well, actually, if I want to refine just to Sahel, I should just have it here, because otherwise I'm gonna risk having information about other regions, maybe where the French army is involved. So that could be Syria or other locations. So Sahel, militaire, armée. So I want all those words, and I want the format to be PDF. And this is what come up. So you see all the options are PDF format. Or that happens sometime whereby it might lead to a website, but there's a PDF included in that page. But otherwise, it's all PDF. And you have to trust me because I speak French, but the information is going to be about the Sahel, where we actually see Sahel, militaire, and armée popping out. And the Barkhane operation is the operation that the French military is actually undertaking in the Sahel region. So this is one example, but here obviously it shows you that you could have done it yourself by typing Sahel militaire armée, the site, and the file type PDF. It could also be a doc if we want it to be a doc. So you can play around with those. So it's pretty easy, but those are just keeping an eye on the time. Those are pretty easy, but they give you a lot of options. Another one that's important to keep in mind is when I do my search, let's see what could be a good example for that one. Let's say I'm interested in Nigeria. I know I'm taking a lot of African example, but that's because of the work I do. Let's say Nigeria and cough syrup. So we've released an investigation on the addiction of cough syrup here. But what I'm interested is finding here, if you click on tool, you can search by time. So anything that includes Nigeria cough syrup in the past 24 hours, for example. So those are here. Oops, sorry. Those are here. Or I could refine to past week, past months, past year, if I want to increase the range, or have a date range myself that I will plug in here. So you can select, for example, this is very straightforward, obviously, from May the 1st to September 23rd, 2017. And this is all the publication that have been made during that range. You can also, so that's sorted by relevance actually, but you can sort it by date if you want to be from the most recent to the older to the oldest. Yes. So I get clear that for now. The other options all the time, or here either all results or verbatim, which I've never quite used, but this one I've always rely on the time tool, which can be very useful. So we cover. I'm trying to see. Oh yeah, it's in the time remaining. 26. Let's go over, because I think that's a good time to address that one, and it would be archives. Archives are very important, and so you have two websites. Sorry, archive.today, because they help you also. The idea with archive obviously is you can archive stuff yourself, but they also can help you find information. They fit well in advanced search for Google, but also advanced search for Facebook, because they can, if something has been deleted, then there is a chance that one of the archives has auto-scroll it and either auto-scroll it and save it, or someone has manually saved it, as we can do ourselves, investigators, journalists, or whoever is interested in storing the information for the others to be used. So you have archive.today, and that's pretty easy. You can either enter the URL. So let's say I bump into the profile of this journalist, and I'm worried he's gonna delete it. So I can just go here and save the page, and then it's gonna be available. So it's going to also tell you when it's been archived before, and you can update the archive yourself if you think that the archive is old. So let's say I want to save the page again. And also you don't necessarily need to copy and paste like this. What's good with archive.today is if I go again to it, you can just drag this to your bookmark, which I have done already. It's here. And then when you hit a page of a page of interest, so let's say Elliot, founder of Bellingcat, all I have to do is press, and it's going to open a new tab. It's going to do it automatically, and I can just keep doing my investigation. And then if I find another profile of interest, same, I would press archive, etc. Pretty easy to use. But what's most interesting is once you've saved a profile, it comes here. So you save from the URL, and if you want to refine, I've been archiving it, but I can, if I want to retrieve that, I can just search, and here it gives me the different times it's been stored. But I can also just enter, that should work, Dan Rivers. Obviously, this is because he's a journalist who's been doing a lot. You'll find a lot of information about him, so articles, etc. But I could refine, if I put Twitter, etc. What I'll do in that case is Twitter endo, and that should work here to really get to Twitter. Interestingly, it doesn't work because it's a store the URL. So you have to use twitter.com and search with the name actually of, here we go back. So you have to put twitter.com, the domain, and then the link page to the profile in that, and then you can find it again. And that's how it works. But you can search. What's good is you can also, like Google, you can search by key term instead of by URL. And another good one is the internet archive here, archive.org. And it functions the same as archive.is. If you can search for websites that have been stored before, but you can also archive yourself. So if we go to the Wayback Machine actually, so archive.org/web/, here we go. So you can explore by HTTPS or HTTP link, or you can capture a screenshot yourself by putting in the HTTP or HTTPS URL of the page or of the profile of the accounts you want to save and put it here, and then save the page. And that what's the strength of this is it stores it for other people to be able to be used, and also for yourself. So it makes that information, if someone deleted after, it makes that information available again. So I think this covers it all for Internet's advanced search, as I did talk about in the Belgrade presentation. But before we move to the question, I want to, because I think this is a good time to first introduce it, and then I'll remind you guys again at the final session, but to show you some platforms and guides to help you with open source investigation. So as I was referring at the beginning, the first one I opened was the Bellingcat Digital Toolkit, which I've shared already in an email, but which is available to you and which I can share again. And what's great about this one is it was created by a colleague at Bellingcat who is named Christian Tribert. And what's good is you can yourself suggest some tools if you're aware of some tools, because obviously it's never complete. The landscape of open source investigation moves really fast. A lot of tools come up, and as individual, it's hard to keep pace with us having to do our own investigation. So it's great we crowdsource that information and we all work together. So if you have any tools, you can suggest them, and then we'll curate it and add them to the list. And so this is conveniently ordered by sort of methods or techniques or what they can use for. So this is map satellites, and you've got big maps and different tools. So I scroll down, Digital Globe, which is a satellite imagery provider, Google Maps, Google Earth Pro. And there will be Wikimapia as well, which I mentioned. Terra Server, Wikimapia here, Yandex Map. Geo-based searches, we talk about EcoSec in Belgrade. GeoNames. Review Map is a good one. Then you've got, this is different how you can search using Twitter. So basically you've got the list, our image, video, and metadata, as well, social media. So for Facebook, different tools you can use, for Instagram, for LinkedIn, Snapchat, Twitter, etc. It's all available here for you to go. So that's one platform you can use, and that's quite complete. And that's being keep using it and keep an eye on it, because it keeps coming. It keeps being updated, sorry, constantly. Another one that's very good is Hosting Framework. Forma is a bit less easy to use, or the way the platform is, but it's just some nodes that you can open, and they order by different. So let's say I want tools and techniques to search through email address. So you open that one, and then email search, and you keep, and that gives you different. So Hunter is a good tool when you want to find people's email from a website, and you've got different tools. Let's say I'm interested in, for example, where is that one? Social networks, which is the one often we use in investigation. Facebook. I want to have tools to search. Here is going to show me Intel Techniques, which I mentioned quite a lot, and it's really good. But you've got other different tools. Some of those I haven't used myself, and this platform is not updated as much, but it's already got an extremely strong database of tools and techniques to use. And then you have a lot of guides here that I've stored myself and I keep updated, and I can share with you about fact checking, etc. I can put those in the email. That's actually easier. But if you go to Bellingcat on the website, here, if you go on the website and click on guides, then what's good is you have, and actually we are committed ourselves to publish more guides at the moment to methods to do open source investigation. But here, so that's why there are more coming in the past days. But here, those are specifically about the conflict in the Middle East, and if you don't speak Arabic. But you've got a guide by Eric, a colleague of mine, how you archive open source materials, Strava, which I talk about, how you interpret that data, how you, if you want to correct videos, how you do it, Bitcoins, etc. You've got different verifying video content, which I'll be talking about in the third session, online session. But you've got also how to go through corporate registry, a company's house, etc., etc. So there are a few guides, and we'll be publishing more. And also, if you're interested in something that's quite good, something you don't know how to do it, please tell us, and we can look into it and maybe publish a guide for others to know, because you might not be the only one to be struggling with this. So it's really important we share our information and how to go about. But I would recommend you go on guides, because you'll get a lot of resources, not just about advanced internet search, but about different methods to undertake open source investigation from the identification stage, so to retrieve the information, to the verification stage. A final tool that I wanted to talk about, and that costs a bit of money, but this one is really, really good. And it's not about investigation. Well, no, sorry, it's not about verification. That one is when you do often, we run our investigation, and that happens a lot. You do your search online, you bump into something, and you want to save it, but somehow forget to save it, close the page, move on, and then you're like, oh damn, I forgot where that is. I don't remember, and I can't find the right key term, etc. And there is an amazing tool which is called Hunchly, that costs some money, but you can get it for free, or you can try it for free. Sorry, and what it does, it captures. So it comes up as a plugin on your browsers, and when you switch it on to capture here, every page that I visit is going to be captured and saved on my local computer. For example, this is I'm currently working on geolocating a video that was coming out of Cameroon, where we see a couple of Cameroonian soldiers executing 2 women and 2 children. So I'm trying to geolocate that video, and I'm a part of that geolocation. I've been collecting information, profiles of interest of people and soldiers around the region. And for example, with Hunchly, I could store this guy profile and all the different pictures he took. So that's very useful, and it's no headache at all. Once it's there, you just switch on the capture. If I go back to, so if I close that and go back to, here we go. Yeah, you switch on capture, and then every page you're going to visit are going to be saved. So Hunchly is quite a very good tool, and then you can assign case. So let's say if you work on a politician, or on a specific corruption case, or on a specific cat story, for something a bit more light, I don't know, something like that, or you can assign a case and then capture everything related to that case, make notes, tags, and write some what selectors is keywords. So as soon as those keywords are found in the page, they're going to be captured. But if those keywords are not in the page, they're not going to be captured. So that's very useful. So I would highly recommend Hunchly. It's a very good tool. Because it's already 6:40, I don't know if you have questions. So I want to give room for, I don't know if there are any questions. I want to give room for question at this stage. What I want to say before we jump into question is, because I've been put on a task for BBC during that geolocation, I haven't been able to prepare an example or an exercise to give you, for advanced internet search, but I will email an exam, sort of exercise to work on to everyone tomorrow. and you can work on this exercise. And in the beginning, and send me the answer by email. And at the beginning of the next session, we'll go through it, through what was the solution to that exercise and how you can get to it. But here at this stage, if there are any questions, I think it's good I can answer it, because we've still got 5 to 20 minutes.
Hi, Aliaume. There is a question from Milica regarding Hunchley. She's asking whether it saves stuff online or locally, just for her on her computer. I guess the latter.
So unlike that's a very good question. Unlike the archives, Hunchkey is going to save it locally on your computer. It doesn't save it online. So I like it myself, because that way it's stored on your computer and it's easy to access it. But yeah, it stores it on your local machine. If I go to my file, for example, here, and then I go to document, and I go Hunchkey, sorry, and then page cache. So it's going to store the different pages. There should be also in screenshot as well. There might be some. I need to update the version, but it's going to store it in those. Wait 1 second. Cases. Sorry, no. So if I go, I was on the wrong file. Sorry. So if I go to Unshade data, cases, pages, and then you see it stores some pages I was interested in locally. So it's going to be saved on your computer. Is there any other questions, or anything I could help, or any tools you want me to discuss more in depth or go over again? But the advanced internet search is pretty straightforward, and I'm sure you've all been using it all before, so there shouldn't be any surprise in that one. But if there are specific cases you've been working on, cases, and you've had issue with, this is also a good time for me to answer it, but also feel free to email me after anytime. I know some of you have already emailed me for other cases about geolocation, but I could deal with those in the online session, so I will answer shortly. But if you have any other question now, it's a good time, but also feel free to email me as well. Let me stop sharing my screen.
There doesn't seem to be any question at this point.
Okay, that's fine. I think I should keep the rest for the other session, right? Yeah, the Facebook, etc., because it will be another new topic. But I've looked at. Let me see one thing. I just want to make sure I'm not missing.
There is a question from Milica. If there is time, I would like to ask you to open InVid and just show options. I'm not getting around very well myself.
Okay, sure. Yeah, we can do. I was going to show InVid in the third online session, but we can talk about it now, unless there are other questions about advanced internet search. I'm happy to go over InVid quickly. So I'll share my screen again. So if I go to InVid, to me it's really how the question is really how what you can do with InVid, right? The different opportunities. So what InVid can do is, if I go to YouTube, and I pick any video. So let's say this one from Venezuela. Well, what InVid is going to be able to do is, if I copy, it works for other two as well. It works for Facebook as well. Here. So if I want more data about the video, I'm gonna click on the analysis part, So paste the URL, whether it's a YouTube or a Facebook one, and it's gonna obviously process it for me, and it's gonna give me information in a easy manner to look at. So I'm gonna have the title, description, which you already see on YouTube, but more interesting for everyone is the upload time. When you want to know when the video was uploaded, and you can convert it to your local time, which channel it belongs to, the number of views for the channel, and what's good is it's going to create, I think what's more important, so I'll talk about it when we'll be going over verification using geolocation, or verification using reverse image search. But what's good with InVid is it creates snapshots or thumbnails of the video, like you see those ones, which you can then do a Google image reverse search, Yandex image reverse search, T9, or Twitter video search on. So that's very useful here. You can do, for the reverse image search, you can do the same using the keyframes. So the same, you put the URL, and then for video fragmentation, it says it. So this one is good. It's going to create more keyframes than the analysis. You can also create thumbnails on which you can do reverse image search. So basically, keyframes and thumbnails are more or less the same, but thumbnails is for only YouTube. And keyframes might be for video you can upload, or from video for Facebook, etc. InVid's got Twitter Advanced Search, but that's the same that you would find. I'll talk about it when I do searches on social media. That's going to be the next online session, but it's the same. It's exactly the same thing as the Twitter Advanced Search, but it's here, and it's convenient. Yeah, otherwise you have the same. You have date, city, range. The only extra thing is you can put coordinates here, and filter as well with, I think it's not present here. We might have a few more things. Magnifier is, if you have an image, is to zoom in, zoom out. Metadata is to give you metadata about the image or the video. And forensic is, I haven't used that tool actually. I've always relied on analysis or keyframe myself. But I think forensic is you upload your video and or an image. Now, sorry, this is for image, and this is gonna image. Yeah, what it does is basically does an analysis of that image and trying to find whether that image could be legit or not. So yeah, those are different options of InVid. The main one obviously is the analysis, but what's the main strength really of InVid when you use it is to, I think in my eyes, is either to have the analysis and give you the time of upload of the video that you can convert to local time. But the most important one is for video is to create keyframes on which you can do reverse image search. I think that's the most important one. Forensic might be interesting as well. Metadata as well, if you got the image and the video, but keep in mind, sorry, videos that have been published on Facebook, on social media, so whether Facebook, Instagram, shared by WhatsApp, etc., the metadata has been removed from it. So you won't find metadata from videos that have been published on social media platforms. Any other question? And for just to stay, for those who are not on the call and for those who will be watching this video over the weekend, just feel free to email me questions over the weekend and I'll pick them up next week. Because I don't know how many people of you or many of you, sorry, are actually present on the call, but yeah, we can do that with just email me. And for those as well present on this call at the moment, also email me and I'll pick up those questions during the week.
7 people actually attended. So yeah, that's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. As I said in my email yesterday, we are planning to schedule the next session for Tuesday. same time.
Perfect.
Touch in the meantime. So we'll confirm that in an email. As Aliaume said, do not hesitate to get back to us with any questions and comments. Thanks a lot. Enjoy your evening.
Thank you, everyone.